Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, up and down the length and breadth of Scotland, children will be getting their exam results today. Some will, or possibly yesterday, today. Depends on the vagaries of the post, I presume. However, some might be tomorrow. So, that's all good, and they've all worked very hard. And in fact, the exam success rate has increased very little bit, but it has gone up a little bit. So, well done them. Let's hope it isn't all in vain. But the attainment gap, the difference between those pupils from better off backgrounds and those from worse off backgrounds is still very, very wide. The Scottish Qualifications Authority, the SQA, revealed the results with pass rates returning to pre-COVID levels, finally. But they're still almost at record low rates. So even though there was a slight improvement, it's still very, very bad all round. Figures showed that the higher pass rate is now 75.9, which is an increase of 1% compared with last year. But other than 2019 and 2024, this is still the lowest higher rate pass since 2009. Both the National 5 and the Advanced Higher pass rates also increased at 78.4, up 1.2, and 76.7, up 1.4. Now, as I say, they've gone up slightly, but they've only gone up slightly on last year's figures. They're still pathetically bad all round. It's not a sign on the children, though. This is the education system in Scotland that's failing them. But the attainment gap, and that's the big one that we're talking about, because this, of course, was Sturgeon's big push. She wanted to reduce and have no attainment gap whatsoever. But those levels of affluence do directly make a difference to the outcome of a child's education. No, she promised to eliminate it, but hey, the gap is still higher now than 2023. It's actually gone down a tiny bit on last year's figures, but it's still higher than 2003 and still higher than any time since the SNP came to power. At National 5, it is down. It's now 16.6%, which is down from the 17.2 last year, but an increase of from the 15.6 the year before, so still pathetic. Hires, it stayed the same, and advanced hires, the gap dropped actually to 12.8 from 15.5, but it's still, again, larger than the figure from 2023. Last year seems to have been a bit of an outlier. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means that this differential between wealthier and less well-off pupils is still there. It's not going away, and it doesn't matter how the likes of Jenny Gilruth polish this particular turd, they can't make it any worse than it is. Yes, it wobbles along a line, basically, but the line is still well higher than where it was when the SNP first came to power, and they haven't got any idea on how to close it. But I do think that half the problem is that the SNP keep wasting well, not half the money, but a lot of money on independence purposes instead of putting it where it's needed, into schools. Perhaps if they put money into schools and gave head teachers the ability to basically throw out pupils who are disruptive, then things would differ. You'd have different results. Now, what you've got to remember is pupils coming from a predominantly less affluent area will go into a school where others from a less affluent area will be. And that has a major effect on the teaching. Whereas people from more affluent areas go into more affluent schools because, these kids all live in a posher area, a more moneyed area. And so the schools will tend to be better and have better attainment records, better turning up records, children with better records because they can have little studies at home and they can learn in peace, and they've got the latest tech. But the problem schools, the sink estate schools won't, and there'll be a lot more trouble. And of course, the head teachers can't basically throw the troublemaking kids out, and so it's dysfunctional, and that's what the problem is. But the idea of giving head teachers power is anathema to the SNP because they don't think that anyone should have any power at all. all power should rest at the very, very top of the pyramid, and they micromanage everything. And that's why everything in Scotland is falling apart. It's micromanaged by lunatics. But there we go. Let me know what you think. Thanks very much. Bye.